Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You ever get that feeling like when you're piecing together your family's immigration story and you just hit a wall?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like you're searching for, I don't know, like a very specific tool in just a jam-packed toolbox.
Yeah.
My mom, she always used to tell me, a good craftsman never blames his tools.
All right.
But, she also say, having the right ones sure makes the job a heck of a lot easier.
For sure.
And so today we're talking about tools. We're giving you a whole new set of tools for tackling those genealogical brick walls.
That's right. We're thinking about tools in a different way, though, right? The kind of tools that have been passed down for generations, kind of like family heirlooms.
I like that.
Those little nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
We're diving into ancestral proverbs today.
Oh, interesting.
These are sayings and phrases that have been guiding people through challenges for centuries.
Okay.
They're like those secret compartments in your research bag that you didn't even know were there.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so Proverbs. But how do they actually help with genealogy?
Well, they're not just cute little sayings, right?
Right.
They're actually shortcuts to understanding some pretty important principles of genealogical research.
Okay.
And this is especially true when you're dealing with immigration records.
Yeah.
Those can be tricky,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a Swedish proverb that I always keep in mind.
Okay.
It says, "Troubles are like a dog's leash. They are held tightest at the entrance." And for us genealogists, that entrance is often that first brick wall we come up against.
Right.
Those proverbs, they're the key to loosening that leash.
I see. So what are we going to do today?
Well, we're going to unpack a few of these ancestral proverbs
Okay.
and see how they offer some practical advice for breaking down those immigration brick walls.
Okay. I am ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right in.
All right.
Let's start with a classic.
Okay.
Beware of Greeks bearing gifts.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. But what's that got to do with genealogy?
Well, you see, the gift in genealogy often comes in the form of a nice, complete family tree.
Oh, I see.
Maybe a relative shares it with you.
Yeah?
Or you find it on one of those genealogy websites.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, it might seem like a great thing at first.
Yeah.
All those names and dates.
Tempting. Very tempting.
Right. But this proverb is a warning.
Oh, okay.
Think of these unverified family trees as kind of like intellectual debt.
Ooh.
They look good now, but they could cause you some serious problems later on.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially when you try to match them up with original records.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's easy to make mistakes, especially when you're excited to fill in those blanks in your family history.
Yeah, you get so caught up in the moment.
Right. And especially if it looks like you're related to someone famous.
Yeah.
Or, you come from a prestigious line.
Right. Everyone wants a little bit of royalty in their background.
Exactly.
So what do we do? What's the takeaway here?
The key is to double check everything.
Verify, verify, verify.
Exactly. Don't just take anything at face value.
Okay.
Even if it looks convincing or it comes from a trusted source.
Okay.
You always want to go back to the original record.
All right. So double check those family trees. What else have we got?
All right, let's move on to another one. This one's from China.
Okay.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Okay. I get that. But how does that apply to genealogy?
Well, think about it. When you're tracing immigrant roots, your research is going to take you back to their homeland.
Okay. Yeah.
That's your 1,000-mile journey.
Right.
But before you even start thinking about overseas records, you need to figure out exactly where your ancestors came from.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like that Irish saying, it's no use going to the goat's house to look for wool.
Exactly.
You got to know where to look.
Right, you need the right starting point.
Okay.
So just saying, my family's from Italy isn't going to cut it.
No, not at all. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. You need to know the specific town, the village, maybe even the county.
Okay, so how do we find that information?
The best place to start is with U.S. records.
Okay.
Naturalization records are a gold mine.
Yeah, they often have the place of birth, right?
Right. And don't forget about death certificates and obituaries.
Oh, yeah, true.
They can be a little hit or miss, but they sometimes have surprising details.
Okay, good to know.
And passenger manifests, those can be helpful too.
Yeah, they might list the last place of residence.
Exactly. So exhaust all your U.S. resources before you even think about going overseas.
All right, U.S. records first. Got it. Okay, what's next?
All right, this next proverb is a little more poetic.
Okay.
It's also from China, and it says, "Not the cry, but the flight of the wild duck leads the flock to fly and follow."
Okay, that's a mouthful. What's that got to do with genealogy?
Well, it's all about looking beyond the individual ancestor you're stuck on.
Okay.
The flight of the wild duck represents the migration patterns of their relatives and neighbors.
Oh, I see.
Because immigration wasn't usually a solo mission.
Right. Chain migration.
Exactly. People often followed each other.
Yeah, makes sense. So if you hit a dead end with one ancestor,
Yeah.
you should look at their connections.
Exactly. Their siblings, cousins, even their neighbors back in the old country.
Okay.
They might have left clues that lead you back to your target.
Like breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Think of it like ripples in a pond.
Okay.
The main splash might be gone, but the ripples can tell you where it happened.
Ooh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I remember you had a great example of this from your own research.
Oh, yeah. The story of Isabel Valerelli.
Right. Tell us about her.
So I was stuck on her arrival record.
Mhm.
And then I noticed on the 1916 passenger list that she was joining her son-in-law, Salvatore Ebettino.
Okay.
And that opened up a whole chain of connections.
Oh, wow.
Salvatore was joining his brother-in-law,
Okay.
who was joining his cousin, and so on.
Oh, wow. So you followed that whole chain
Yeah, and it eventually led me back to Isabel's likely place of origin.
through all those connections.
Yeah, through a guy named Francesco Lamparello, who was part of that same migration wave.
That's amazing. And those early 20th century passenger lists, they
Yeah.
often say who the immigrant was going to meet.
Absolutely. That's a crucial detail.
Like a road map.
Exactly. It's that wild duck showing the way.
Okay, I love that. All right, let's move on. What's the next proverb?
Okay, this one's a little more serious. It's from Japan.
Okay.
A tiger dies and leaves his skin. A man dies and leaves his name.
Okay, a little morbid, but what's the connection to genealogy?
Well, this proverb highlights the importance of a name,
Okay.
especially in genealogical research.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that names can change in historical records.
Oh, yeah, spellings can be all over the place.
Right. But knowing your immigrant ancestor's original name, the one they used before coming to America, is crucial.
I see. So like the average saying, even if you put silk on a goat, it's still a goat.
Exactly. The essence stays the same, even if the name changes.
Right, so names often got changed when immigrants arrived in America.
Yeah, sometimes intentionally, sometimes just through misinterpretation.
Yeah, so like Adam Silk might become Adams.
Exactly. Or Giuseppe Verdi could become Joe Green.
Oh, yeah, I see. And that can really mess up your research if you're looking in European records.
Absolutely. So how do we find those original names?
Right. How do we uncover them?
Well, the first step is to talk to your older relatives.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
They might remember stories or have some clues.
Okay. And what about records?
Passenger lists often have the original names.
Okay.
And naturalization records, especially later ones, might include the birth name and place of origin.
Okay.
And don't forget about church records and early census documents.
Okay, so there are a few places to look.
Exactly. You just got to be thorough.
All right, got it. What's next?
All right, this proverb offers some practical advice. It's a Jewish proverb that says, ask about your neighbors, then buy the house.
Okay, so what's the genealogical equivalent of checking out the neighborhood?
Well, it's about understanding that immigrants often settled together.
Yeah, they formed communities.
Exactly. They wanted to be near people who spoke their language and understood their culture.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like finding a little piece of home in a new place.
Right. It provided support and familiarity.
And it wasn't just about comfort, right?
No, it was practical too.
Yeah.
They could help each other find work and navigate the new culture.
Yeah, like a built-in support system.
Exactly. And these communities often move together.
Oh, so it wasn't always a one-time thing.
No, they might relocate as a group to find better opportunities.
Oh, I see. So if you lose track of an ancestor, you should look at their neighbors.
That's right. Because where they went, your ancestor might have gone too.
Like the Irish saying, in Ireland, if one sheep puts his head through the gap, the rest will follow.
Exactly. So how do we apply this to our research?
Right, what do we do?
Start with the census records.
Okay.
Look at who's listed on the same page or nearby.
Okay.
Look for familiar surnames.
Okay.
And check property deeds. They buy land near someone with the same last name.
Okay, good point.
And trace their relatives,
Okay.
siblings, in-laws, close friends.
All right, so follow the neighbors. Got it. What's next?
Okay, this next Jewish proverb is a little surprising.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It says, look for the good, not the evil, in the conduct of family members.
Okay. Now, how does that apply to genealogy?
Well, sometimes those black sheep of the family can actually be the key to unlocking information.
Oh, interesting. So the troublemakers.
Exactly. The ones who got into trouble with the law or had disputes with their neighbors,
Okay.
they often generated more records than those who lived quiet lives.
Oh, I see. So instead of ignoring those family stories about conflict, we should actually investigate them.
Exactly. Because those situations might have led to court records,
Right.
newspaper articles, or even coroner's inquests.
Oh, wow.
And within those records, you might find mentions of your brick wall ancestor.
Oh, that's a good point. I remember you had a fascinating example about Mary Hogan's death in New York City.
Oh, yes. That's a perfect illustration.
Can you tell us about it?
So, Mary Hogan died suddenly in 1917,
Okay.
and it led to a coroner's inquest.
Okay.
And during the inquest, her sister Catherine gave some crucial information.
Oh, wow.
She revealed that they had only arrived in the U.S. about 6 weeks earlier.
Oh, so the inquest revealed their immigration details.
Exactly. And she even mentioned the name of the ship they sailed on, the Alexander.
Wow, that's amazing. So a tragic event actually uncovered a key piece of information.
Right. It's a good reminder to look for clues in unexpected places.
All right, I like that. Okay, what's our last proverb for today?
Okay, this one offers a little encouragement.
Okay, good. I need that.
It's another English one.
Okay.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Okay, I like that.
Of
So
that.
what's the genealogical application of that?
Well, it reminds us that sometimes breakthroughs happen through sheer luck.
Yeah, sometimes you just stumble upon something.
Exactly. Or maybe you have a gut feeling that leads you in the right direction.
Oh, yeah, intuition.
Exactly. Or maybe you just use simple logic and it clicks.
Yeah, it all comes together.
So the key is to be open to those possibilities.
Okay.
Don't dismiss those little details that might seem insignificant at first.
Right. And there was a suggestion in the source material,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Try writing a biography of your ancestor.
Oh, interesting.
Pull together everything you know about them.
Okay.
And as you do that, you might notice gaps in the information or inconsistencies in the timeline.
Yeah, or maybe just something that doesn't quite add up.
Exactly. And those little things could spark a new line of inquiry.
Oh, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
And you had an example about the two Daniels, right?
Oh, yeah, the ones with the land grants?
Yeah.
They had slightly different spellings of their last names, Dinavan and Dunavan,
Okay.
and their land grants were close together.
Mm.
And one of them signed with a mark.
Okay. So at first glance, those might seem like insignificant details.
Right. But by paying attention to those discrepancies, you might discover that they were actually the same person.
Oh, or closely related.
Exactly. And that happens a lot with historical records.
Yeah, spellings can be so fluid.
So it's those little details that can sometimes make all the difference.
All right, I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into ancestral proverbs, what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I'd say it's about consistently applying these principles.
Okay.
Using these proverbs as lenses to view your research.
I like that.
And never giving up.
Yeah, persistence is key.
Exactly. As the Spanish say, patience begins with tears and ends with a smile.
Oh, that's a beautiful saying. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
My pleasure. It's always fascinating to explore these ancient wisdoms.
And for you, our listeners, here's a final thought. As you continue your own research, think back to those times when you felt stuck. Are there any little details you might have overlooked? Any gut feelings you ignored?
Yeah.
Maybe a nut that deserves a second look.
Right.
You never know what you might discover. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
See them.